Hey folks, unfortunately this week, some members of the Deep Listens community in the southern United States were impacted by Hurricane Helen. The storm devastated much of the southern coast, but the town of Asheville, North Carolina was hit especially hard by flooding, leaving many without water, food, shelter, or power. If you can, I'd like to ask you to donate to belovedasheville.com to help support food transportation into Asheville as well as other recovery efforts at this crucial time. That is belovedasheville.com. Thank you. Now on to our weird show about video games and sometimes other stuff. Hello, Internet. Gino, that Pinguino Greco here again with another episode of Deep Listens, and this is our football show again. Hike, touchdown, field goal. Welcome back. I'm steering today because we've got some logistical stuff with timings and stuff that we need to do. So joining me, as always, for all things football, Borgmaster, how you doing?
I got a touchdown in the end zone with my tight end, if you know what I mean.
Hey, yes. Oh, yeah. That's a great. We're also joined by Tyler. How you doing, Tyler?
I'm doing well, Gino.
Excellent. So before we get into the football, normal plugs, you can get in touch with the show at Deep Listens Pod on Twitter, deeplistens.libsyn.com. We have our comment sections and deeplistenspodcast at gmail.com. You can support the show on patreon.com/deeplistens. And you can also, if you did that, you'd get access to our Discord. You'd get access to all of these fine folks. We have our $3 OG Soncast tier, which is going to be where you can listen to the OG Soncast, the anime podcast that we put together. And it also lets you throw a game into the Off the Deep End slush pile. So consider it. All right. Without further ado, I think we should discuss football. Today.
Yeah, it's been a month.
Let's get into it.
It's
so
been
what's
a month.
happened in the first 4 weeks?
A lot of things have happened. So just to outline the structure today, we're going to touch on every division, all 8 of them in football. And we are going to give each division 6 minutes of time on the clock. And then at the end of the show, we will check in on on Borgmaster and Tyler's models to see if they were good, to see how they're doing, to see if any improvements have been made. Sound like a plan?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Let's
okay,
do it.
We are starting with the AFC because A comes before N. And we are going to be starting with the AFC East because the East Coast is the best coast. So with 6 minutes on the clock, take it away, Borgmaster. What are your thoughts on this division?
Oh, well, seeing as how there was a murder most foul in week 2, I think Tyler has some things to answer for with the Bills Mafia.
So, to give our listeners some idea of where we are in the AFC East at this time during the season, right now the Bills are at the top of the division at 3-1. In second place are the New York Jets at 2-2. In third place is the Miami Dolphins at 1-3, and bringing up the rear is the New England Patriots at 1-3. So, as Borgmaster was alluding to, in week 2, the Buffalo Bills just continued their domination of the Miami Dolphins. If you're not following closely to football in this game, the Miami Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa went out in the third quarter with another concussion. So right now, Miami is reeling on the season. They're 1-3. They just lost to the Tennessee Titans, a team that had previously had 0 wins on the season. And right now, they're just struggling for answers.
Yeah, so Tua, he has had 2 previous major concussions in the NFL, and I believe he had one in college before he even made the NFL. Unfortunately, instead of sliding legs first, he ran into a man head first, which is a bad decision. when you
Yeah.
have a history of head
Mhm.
injuries. And that means that Miami has been operating with backup quarterbacks. Now they are using their backup to their backup quarterback.
Really?
That
I missed that part.
third quarterback since Tua.
Yeah, they are up to
Oh,
third quarterback.
which one's the third one? Because I remember the second quarterback.
So second quarterback was Skylar Thompson.
Yep.
Third quarterback is Tim Boyle,
Oh
and
no, they're gonna Lance
and
Boyle.
now they're on to Tyler Snoop Huntley.
Yeah, so
Okay.
this is a problem because the quarterbacks throw the ball, and Miami's best assets were two dominant wide receivers that opened things up for everyone else. Now no one needs to respect their passing game because the guy throwing the ball is bad at throwing the ball, and it doesn't really matter how open Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle get if the guy with the ball cannot throw it to them. So their offense is poopy doo doo. Their defense was already bad, so they're dead until they can get a professional quarterback back in. The Patriots, I think we can say their line is as bad as we thought it was. They fooled us for the first week. They bamboozled us by winning a game, but their offense is pretty bad. Their defense is less embarrassing than the Dolphins, but also isn't good. I feel like we should
And
linger. Oh, go ahead.
the Pats that win was against the Browns, right?
I
If I remember
I
correctly.
believe it was either the Browns or the Bengals.
The Bengals.
Oh, it was the Bengals. Oh, right, yeah. The Bengals haven't really shown up yet, but
Well,
that's a different story.
they showed up after a little bit. They've shown up a little bit now. They did not show up week 1 because their best wide receiver Jamar Chase held out for all preseason and had no practice. So it took a little bit for the team to figure out how to play again. Tyler, what's going on with the Jets? Should we care about them?
As much as I hate to admit it, I think so. Um, right now on the season, they're 2-2. They have not looked impressive on the field, but my model is seeing something that I'm not. Right now, it's liking them to be a 11-win team at the end of the season.
I see.
Yeah, models like them because they have all of the pieces that you need. You know, and I guess it's really a matter of is old man Rogers, does he still have it in him? And it's been on and off.
It's worth saying they lost last week. One score game, 10-9, and the reason they lost, the reason it was that low scoring, I think, largely was it was a torrential downpour where I think the remnants of Hurricane Helen hit New York around that time. So sometimes with these outdoor games, you just get a washout water game, and no one's offenses can function. So I don't know that the Jets are good. Their defense looks okay. They have some good skill position players, and Rodgers theoretically is smart enough to get the best out of them, even if he's clearly a shell of himself. But yeah, the Jets, I think, will at least become respectable. They might end up 500. We'll see. And then the Bills.
I can see the Jets getting into a wild card slot.
Yes. We have 20 seconds left. Tyler, you have 20 seconds to talk about the Bills.
Yeah, so rumors of this team's demise have been greatly over exaggerated. Many analysts had the Jets or the Dolphins winning this division, but so far in the 2024 season, it's business as usual for the Bills. Josh Allen is good. The offense is still producing. The big question for this team is going to be the defense going forward. A lot of turnover on that side of the ball, but it looks like the younger guys are stepping up.
Excellent. Yep. Bills' best team in the division so far, but we'll see if it carries forward. Now, on to the next cardinal direction. We're going south, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Now we're going to the
AFC
South.
South.
6 minutes on the clock. All right.
I'm personally very happy that they are now more embarrassing than the NFC South.
Yes.
That is relieving.
Yes. So, Tyler, why don't you give us a quick rundown? What are the standings?
So in first place, we have the 3-1 Houston Texans. In second place is the 2-2 Indianapolis Colts. In third place is the 1-3 Tennessee Titans. And at dead bottom of not only the division but the AFC is the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The Jaguars.
Yeah, the Jaguars have not put together at all, even though, statistically, like in every way that anyone has modeled out the season, they should be at least 1-3 by now.
Mm-hmm.
So something's going wrong in Florida. Well, there's a lot of things going wrong in Florida, but the Jacksonville's one of them.
Yes, it is. They have not been able to complete a win. They had a chance last week, but not yet. Not able to get over the finish line yet. Trevor Lawrence still not really beating the overrated charges. Why don't we turn our attention to the next team on the bottom here, the Tennessee Titans. Tyler, is Will Levis a bad quarterback?
I would say he's an awful quarterback. You go out and you look at some of the mistakes that he made in the first 3 weeks. Every single one of them is memeable in their own right. It reminds me of Josh Allen season 1 without like the high end play to go with it.
Yeah, he YOLOs way too much. There's a lot of like it's Will Levis time throwing the ball into like double coverage or just making passes that are just not open. And I think Tennessee, Borgmaster, do you think Tennessee might pull it around as the season goes on, either by Will Levis not being their quarterback or just simply some of those dumb plays getting taken care of? Because they seem talented. It's just they're so stupid.
I mean, if they can trick Carolina into swapping quarterbacks with the Red Ryder BB gun, we'll get to we could probably really see like how good they actually are as a team without the Mayo Man.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been very funny. They've been a very funny team, and that's not a good thing.
Yeah, and I think it is worth saying they have faced a good number of tough defenses so far, so maybe they'll get better. Like Will Levis self-sabotaging might not be as pronounced when they play worse defensive teams, which there are several in their own division that they're going to get to play soon. Speaking of bad, kind of meh defensive teams, the Indianapolis Colts. Any thoughts on this one, Borgmaster? Anything that this team is doing that jumps out to you? Anthony Richardson's not playing super well. That's one thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Richardson is basically a rookie because he was injured most of last season. So they're probably still figuring it out right now. And I mean, they're 2-2. They're not losing. They don't have a losing record.
No.
They just have to like find a way to put together. And then if they do that, they might be able to make the Texans slightly nervous.
Yeah, Tyler, did you see what happened to Anthony Richardson in the last game? Like, did you see the injury?
I did not. All I knew is Joe Flacco came in and was doing Joe Flacco things.
Okay, Joe Flacco's there now. Yeah, then they can definitely catch up to the Texans if Flacco's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Richardson got tackled. He hurt his hip. He was out for like 2 plays. Then they threw him back in. He scrambled and immediately went down under his own power because of the injury to the hip. Like, I don't know, ice him for a little bit. Like, see if he can run before you throw him back in the game. Seems bad.
I mean, this is the same organization that mismanaged Andrew Luck all those years ago.
Yes, they're not the best run. And the Texans, Borgmaster, anything jumping out there? Are they as good as people thought they would be?
I mean, they had that complete and total clown show game with the Bears. If I recall, they still won that. So they can be dragged down to the level of lesser teams, but they're sitting at 3-1. So far, they are at the top of their division, which is where they belong. They're not going to have a miracle run to the Super Bowl, but they're going to get to the playoffs, and they're probably going to be respectable.
Yeah, Tyler, what does your model think of them?
So my model so far has not been impressed with the Houston Texans. Right now, it's thinking that they should really be a 2-win team, not a 3-win team. And oddly enough, if you forecast forward their current performance, they're ending up as a 7-win team. So they're down there with the Tennessee Titans.
All right. So this division, still a slap fight, as it always is, seemingly.
Yeah.
Um,
If Joe Flacco remains the quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts, I have a feeling they're going to win this division at like 9 or 10 wins.
Entirely possible. Turning our attention now to the AFC West, Borgmaster, how are the Western teams doing?
The AFC West, it's basically just one team. It's the Chiefs. And then everyone else, they're all sitting. So the Chiefs are 4-0, which is undeserved with their level of play they've been going in with. And everyone else, the Chargers, Raiders, Broncos, they're all at 2-2 somehow. Even though the Broncos and the Raiders are among the bottom feeders of the league currently.
Yes.
I mean, every single Broncos game has been some kind of disaster.
That they have.
So far, and they've won 2 of them somehow.
Well, their defense is good. Their offense is unwatchable, but their defense is really, really good. So they kind of keep getting away with it. It's like Rex Grossman Chicago Bears stuff, or current Chicago Bears stuff. You know what I mean?
Hey.
So since this division
yeah.
is basically all 500 teams and then the Chiefs, Tyler, my central question is, how do the Chiefs keep getting away with it? Can they keep getting away with it?
Well, if you consult Twitter, the consensus is basically the refs. If you go back to week 1, there was a touchdown in the end zone that got called back because of a toe. In week 2, there was a timely defensive pass interference on the Cincinnati Bengals. Atlanta Falcons falconed in typical Atlanta Falcons fashion. And week 4, they were actually losing to the LA Chargers and somehow managed to come back and win that game by a score of 17-10. I would say right now, Kansas City is been getting lucky. As Adam was saying, they're a 4-0 team. The model thinks they really should be at 3-1. But what's really interesting is what they're forecasted to end up at the end of the season, and that's only with 11 wins. So I think at some point, Kansas City's luck is going to run out, and they're going to have to start facing the music.
Yeah, it's interesting to see their 4 points again. Like their point differential does not look like a team that should be 4-0. Like the Bills have outscored their opponents by almost 40 points, the Chiefs by 20. So it looks like a team that should have a fall to earth at some point. Is there anything? So we've talked about the Broncos.
That might be likely.
Yeah.
Well, no, I was gonna say that might be likely because their receivers keep getting injured. They're running out of receivers.
Yes, Rashid Rice, who probably should be in jail. I don't know, like allegedly. Allegedly shouldn't be playing football right now. Now isn't playing football because of a knee injury. So yeah, they could fall apart, most definitely. We talked about the Broncos being weird, profoundly weird. Speaking of teams that are weird, but for other reasons, the Raiders. What's going on there, Tyler?
All right.
All
right, Tyler, it's now time for the Minshew Minute.
Yeah, so Gardner Minshew continues to be a pinnacle of male fitness. He will forever have a special place in my heart. But in terms of being an NFL quarterback, at best he is a backup. Right now, my model thinks the Raiders have gotten lucky. They should really be a one-win team. And right now, they're expected to be at 6 wins at the end of the season. Sorry, Adam. As much as I love Gardner Minshew and all the memes and his glorious mustache and hair, it just has not translated into success for the Las Vegas Raiders.
No, and wasn't there just yesterday something about the coach liking a Instagram post about trading one of their players, and then the player immediately requested a trade?
Yep. So right now, Las Vegas Raiders' number one receiver is Devontae Adams. He came from Green Bay, where he played for with Aaron Rodgers for a couple of years. Um, he was supposed to be, excuse me, the piece that unlocked Derek Carr when he was in LA. That didn't end up happening. So now Mr. Adams is looking for greener pastures and the desert of Las Vegas can offer him.
Yeah, he's too good for this. He's too good to be wasting one of his seasons in Vegas playing for a nothing team.
He really is.
And just the way that happened is indicative to uh, all of the wackiness going on behind the scenes with the Raiders. You know, it all started with the coach liking an Instagram post.
Well, the Raiders are never not. They're never not doing this, though. They've basically been run like a garbage franchise for almost my entire life. It's amazing. Just the incompetence over generations. And I think that, and you know,
Yes.
it's fitting that we barely talked about the Chargers. It's fitting.
Yeah, I mean Harbaugh's there now, and the war is turning, so supposedly. But is Justin Herbert injured right now? I can never keep track of when he is and isn't injured.
He's definitely banged up.
I think he has an ouchie, but
I
not
don't
a
think
boo-boo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There needs to be a Twitter account that's just a daily update as to whether Justin Herbert is injured.
Yeah. It's not to the point yet where it's keeping him from playing football. Let's put it that way.
Yes. All right, that is our AFC West check-in, and now it's time for the AFC North. What is the state of play, Tyler?
So, much to everyone's expectation, the Pittsburgh Steelers are on top of this division at 3-1. In second place are the Baltimore Ravens at 2-2. In third place is the 1-3 Cincinnati Bengals, and in fourth place are the Deshaun Watson-led Cleveland Browns at 1-3.
Okay, do we start with Deshaun Watson at it again, or do we start with can the Steelers keep getting away with this? Borgmaster, take it away. You pick.
The Steelers will keep getting away with it until they hit 9 wins, and then it's just all, and then they'll just stop playing until the playoffs. Because the Steelers are as chaotic on the field as we all thought they would be with Justin Fields as a quarterback. He won against Russell Wilson in that fight. And their offense is, let's say, Looney Tunes. And their defense, I mean, they still have one of the best defensive players in the league. And so they just sack all the time. And they keep anyone from scoring. The Steelers right now are masters of bad, low-scoring games that they keep winning somehow.
Yeah, they won a game with all punts, with all field goals. Incredible stuff. Like Mike Tomlin's a wizard, and Tyler, you doubting him, your model doubting him, actually inspired him. I think he heard about our podcast, and he was like, "Screw that guy. Take that for data."
I'm certain he has my face on a dartboard in his office.
Among many faces, a collage of faces that he's proving wrong every year. Okay, so we could hop down to the cellar here, or do you want to go to the Ravens? Like work our way down.
No, so let's go to the Ravens because
Okay.
they've underperformed a little bit. Like they're supposed to be one of the best teams in the AFC. They're supposed to be in the same conversation as the Chiefs and the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
And other than their extremely unlucky loss the first week, they just haven't impressed the way they should. Well, except for that Bills game where they decided to show up and just pound the Bills into the dirt to make a point, I guess.
They do have a 20-point differential, or an 18-point differential. So they're probably better than their record says.
Yeah, so they've been underperforming, except when they see Buffalo, and then that just sends them into a rage for some reason to just do maximum violence. But yeah, so they should still win the division because the Steelers cannot keep getting away with it forever.
So I'm going to weigh in here. So my in-season model has the Pittsburgh Steelers as a legit 3-1 football team. And
Yeah.
right now, it thinks they're good enough to finish the season at 12 wins, where Baltimore is going to be finishing the season around 10.
Man, this is
So
gonna be. I
right
hope that plays
now,
out.
I think Justin Fields is playing just good enough where they might be able to hold off the rest of the field for the remainder of the season.
I like the idea of Fields holding off the field. The Bengals. Anything?
The Bengals
They're there.
wildly underperforming. Expectations were high. They probably should be at least a 2-2 team by now. But they've gotten unlucky on a few things. Well, I mean, they encountered the Chiefs, and that's just unlucky in general.
Tyler, have you seen any of the Joe Burrow? Have either of you seen the Joe Burrow can't throw anymore conspiracy stuff?
No,
Oh,
there's a conspiracy now.
yeah. So because he hurt his wrist last year, so people were talking about him picking up water bottles and how he was holding things to claim that he had no more grip strength, so he couldn't throw anymore.
I didn't realize that was a conspiracy.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, he's still playing professional quarterback in the NFL, so I feel like if his arm didn't work at all, it would show up more than just losing some close games.
I do think that they're going to recover, but they're probably going to finish third in the division overall and miss the playoffs.
Okay.
But yeah, this is a spotty year for the spotted cats.
Very nice.
Bengals aren't spotted; they're striped, aren't they? It's a stripy year for the striped cats. No, that doesn't work.
Look,
I'm going to have to workshop this.
Workshop that. We've got 30 seconds left. Who wants to say the meanest thing they can think of about the Browns?
Borgmaster,
Collapsing,
go.
they deserve it. Deshaun Watson probably almost certainly belongs in jail. They are, according to some of the math I have, they are the team that is getting worse the most of any team compared to last year. They should bring back what was his name? Browning. Yeah, bring back Browning. Have him be the quarterback. We'll have anyone but Deshaun Watson. Trade for Bryce Young. Just do something.
Bring back
with
Brady
the Browns.
Quinn. What's he doing?
Johnny Manziel.
This is going to end badly for them.
Get Johnny Manziel out of rehab. Put him back in there. Johnny Manziel, less problematic than their current quarterback. All right, that does it for the AFC, which means it is now NFC time. Let's start with the East.
Yeah, so Gino, how's the NFC East going?
All right, so the NFC East, the Commanders are 3-1. The Cowboys are 2-2. Eagles 2-2. Giants 1-3. But they should be 2-2. Let's start with my fighting New York Giants. Tyler, does your model say they should be 2-2?
They do not. They like them as a one-win team.
Damn it. Okay, well, the Giants are, they did lose one game because they literally didn't have a kicker. Their kicker got hurt, and so they had to go for all 2-point conversions, and they didn't work out. and they lost the game by like a point to the Commanders. But I think they're more competent than anyone thought they would be, right, Borgmaster? Like they're fun to watch. Malik Neighbors is really good.
Yeah, Malik Neighbors is really good. He's one of the best rookies this year. And yeah, Danny Dimes, I mean, in spite of all of the effigies being burned in week 1, he is mostly respectable, I suppose.
Yeah.
Normal. He's normal.
They're blocking
but that's
for
still
him.
not going to. But they're still going to be stuck at the bottom of that division.
I don't know that that's going to be the case. It's likely. But their offense, I think, now is respectable because they can actually block, and now Jones has someone to throw to, has 2 players to throw to. Like Wan'Dale Robinson is healthy and better than anyone they had last year because he wasn't healthy last year. And Neighbors is worlds better than any of the players Daniel Jones has ever thrown the ball to. So
He's
we'll see.
also in concussion protocol.
Shh, he'll be okay.
Oh, wait, Neighbors got concussed?
Yeah, he
Yes,
got
sir.
concussed on the
no.
last play that he had last week. He fell on the sideline head first, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to do that.
No. Okay, the Eagles. Tyler,
All
you
right,
love
so,
this. Or go ahead, Borgmaster. Go. Eagles.
I'd say the Eagles and Cowboys are both at 2-2, and I think we all agree that those teams are getting what they deserve.
Yeah, they're both fraudulent in different ways. The Cowboys defense is bad now. Their pass rush, like they used to cover up for things with pass rush last year. They would have good defense against teams that couldn't block, and they'd have bad defense against teams that could run. This year, they don't even have the pass rush, so they have gotten run on. Do either of your models have anything about their run? Are your models sophisticated enough to know about run defense? Because I swear,
No.
every game the Cowboys are involved in, someone runs for like 200 yards on them. It's ridiculous.
I have a defensive EPA per play number. Hang on, let me switch over to that screen.
While he's doing that, I'll just say that my model was saying the Eagles should finish at 11 wins this season and the Cowboys at 9. That probably won't happen for reasons that we'll get to in a moment.
Yeah. So my EPA per play for Dallas has them at 28th in the NFL. They're below the Atlanta Falcons and just above the New England Patriots, just to give you guys an idea. So definitely a huge drop off from the previous season.
So fraudulent, you could say.
We're talking about 8 wins territory for them this year.
Do we think the Eagles can pull out of this when AJ Brown comes back? Because they have been missing their best their best receiver, maybe their best offensive player for multiple games. He only played in game 1, really.
I mean, if they have all the pieces that they're supposed to have and they decide to actually play football, like they should have won the. My model had it where they should have won the division. They'll probably end up in second in the division because I'm now a full Commanders fan, which we'll get to.
Okay, as resident Commanders fan, Adam Borgmaster redacted, as someone who's always been a Commanders fan and everyone knows it, what do you think about
Yes.
your Washington football team?
The Washington offense is doing something. I haven't figured out what it is they are doing, but it is they are scoring points on almost every single possession they have, which is unheard of for multiple weeks in a row. So, and of course, it's mostly field goals, but still, they're up to something, and that's why they're at 3-1.
Quick question, quick cue here. Is it that they're doing something special, or is it that they played the Cardinals, Bengals, Giants, and Buccaneers?
I mean, the Buccaneers are a good team.
They are, and Commanders lost to them by 17 points.
I think being in a division with the Giants and two fraudulent teams is going to help them a lot for their final win rate. So I will say that they're going to end up overperforming of where everyone thought they would be this
For
season.
sure. I'm just wondering if they played against three of the worst defenses in the NFL, not including their own, because theirs is the worst defense in the NFL. So I just don't. I don't know, right? I think they're good. They're definitely better than we thought. They're friskier than we thought, even when we said they were going to be frisky last show. But the Bengals lost to the Patriots. Like, the Patriots were able to move the ball on them. The Cardinals can't stop anyone. So I just wonder if, next week they're playing the Browns, so they shouldn't have a problem. But when they played the Ravens on the 13th of October, I'm wondering if they just get manhandled, like an actual.
Yeah, I mean that'll be a bad time. But the models going in had them at like 5 or 6 wins for the season. I can see them being around 8, maybe even 9 if they get lucky.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, now we go to the NFC South. What's going on with the NFC South, Tyler?
All right. So in the NFC South, we have the Baker Mayfield-led Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 3-1. The Atlanta Falcons in second place at 2-2. The New Orleans Saints at 2-2. And in fourth place, we have the woeful Carolina Panthers.
All right.
The Panthers have had the most drama.
Please explain the drama for those who are unaware.
So this was the sophomore year for their young quarterback Bryce Young, who they got first in the I think he was the first round quarterback last year, and that year fell apart. It was a terrible year. They started 0-3, or was it 0-2? 0-3? At some point in the last 4 weeks, they decided to bench
0-2.
0-2, yeah. So after 2 losses, they hit the panic button, benched him, and put their backup quarterback, Andy Dalton.
Perhaps you've heard of him?
Yep, the Red Ryder BB gun himself. And they won a game. And it was very impressive that they won a game. Even though it was against the Raiders, I think.
Correct again.
Yeah. And, they're back to losing again. But they'll probably finish higher than 2-14 or 2-15 this season with Dalton. So
halfway there.
That's an improvement.
They're halfway to last year's record.
They're halfway there. Yes. But it's very dramatic that they're immediately discarding the first round quarterback,
first overall
pick from last year.
Yep.
The first overall pick for Bryce Young. And so hopefully they'll trade Bryce Young to a better home. They'll send him to a farm upstate where he can run free and be happy.
Yeah, he's got a lot of room to run around.
Yeah. Yeah, like he has an O-line, maybe. But yeah, so it's not going great there. They're getting attention for all the bad reasons.
Yeah, and it's important that Bryce Young has a lot of space to run around because he's not that tall, so he needs to be able to run to a spot where he can throw over the offensive line and see over them. Let's turn to a team that Tyler, your model called out as potentially being a division winner, and you looked like a genius after 2 weeks. Now things have gone back to earth. The New Orleans Saints. What's going on there, Tyler?
Yeah. So, despite the previous 2 weeks, I'm still optimistic on my my Saints prediction. My in-season model thinks they should really be a 3-win team, and it's expecting them to finish the season at 14 wins. For the first 2 weeks, this Saints offense looked unstoppable. Alvin Kamara looked like he was going to single-handedly put this team on his back and get it done. And You heard it here first, folks. I'm actually picking the Saints to upset the Kansas City Chiefs here in Week 5. So, uh, if you're a listener of the show, tune in next time to hear about how either my prediction went incredibly right or went incredibly wrong.
Well, if they lose to the Saints in Week 5, they'll have another chance at the Super Bowl against the Saints. I mean,
Yes.
against the Chiefs. But yeah, no, the Saints, they annihilated their first two opponents and lost their last two games. But they're still sitting at like a 57, like a plus 57-point differential.
Yeah, because
Yep.
they annihilated those
is-
first two teams by so much, and then they lost two squeakers.
Yeah. So they're definitely worth keeping an eye on. The Falcons, on the other hand, they're better than they were last year, I guess.
Still frauds.
Kirk Cousins is still alive. He's performing okay. Old man Cousins is doing okay.
Have you noticed that he's basically only been in shotgun all season long? Like he's not doing
I
anything
didn't
under
realize
center.
that.
Yeah, like their handoffs are shotgun handoffs. It's like they are really just saying Kirk can't move. He can't be near. We can't have him do a drop. Like he has to just catch the ball and throw it. That's all he can do right now.
Yeah, like he'll snap in half like the moment he takes a bad sack, which not encouraging. But hey, at least Penix is there.
Yes, that's what I was going to ask. Is do we think we see Penix before we talk again?
Not before we talk again, but before the end of the season. I would say we see Penix.
Okay. And then Tyler, what's going on? Can someone explain? We got 30 seconds. What's going on with the Bucks? Like, why are they good?
I think you have to point at Baker Mayfield, man. Much like his 2018 classmate Sam Darnold, he's going through a little bit of a renaissance. He's efficient in the pocket, making good decisions with the ball, and it's no mistake right now that they're a 3-1 team. I think their only loss is to the Minnesota Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
No, to the Denver Broncos. Sorry,
Oh,
but
right. More
yeah,
shameful.
yeah, but right now they look like a legit contender for the NFC South.
Okay, so now we turn our attentions to the NFC West. Borgmaster, what's going on out west? Should we be afraid?
Very afraid because somehow the Seahawks are one of the best teams in the NFL. Somehow, it makes no sense. They don't play like one of the best teams in the NFL, but they're 3-1. They're gonna keep the Niners out of the playoffs. Maybe it's weird over there. It's a weird time over there. So the Seahawks are 3-1. They were 3-0 until last week. The Niners are 2-2 because things have gone badly. CMC is just falling apart, so he's not going to play again ever. I don't know. The Cardinals have been feisty, but they're still 1-3, and then the Rams have just had a really bad time, and they're 1-3
Okay,
as well. They're also injured as hell, so that doesn't help.
Yeah, the Rams and the 49ers are having a who's more hurt contest. What, for those who are not aware, what happened to the Rams? Why are they no good right now? What happened?
Sorry, you were cutting in and out there, Gino.
Okay, so the Rams, what happened to their wide receivers, in case people are not aware?
They're all hurt. Puka Nakua hurt. Cooper Cup hurt. And I feel like I'm missing a third name there, but I'm assuming he's hurt.
I'm pretty sure their entire offensive line is also hurt, or a significant portion of it. So their offense just barely functions right now. So their defense is bad. So they're not very good. The Cardinals, why are they feisty, Borgmaster? What's going on? Why are they interesting?
They show up and they play. Their losses haven't been huge losses, if I recall. So they've they've been barely losing games. Especially that was it week 1 or 2 against the Bills. Like came down to almost the last minute. It was very exciting. So they're playing good football. They just haven't been winning. So maybe that turns around. Maybe it doesn't.
Yeah. Their offense is at least fun to watch, if nothing else.
Marvin Harrison Jr. looks like the real deal as a deep threat.
Him and Neighbors both. I don't even know who's better between the two of them. They're both so good. The 49ers, speaking of teams that are walking wounded, can I say that Brock Purdy? Look, it sure is weird how once CMC stopped playing and Deebo Samuel and George Kittle were hurt, Brock Purdy looked very, very average. And then when they came back, they started winning games again when Deebo came back. Sure is weird. Oh, well, I'm sure there's nothing to be learned about him as a quarterback based on the availability of the talent around him. It's almost certainly nothing to learn there. They're a team that I think their quarterback is fine as long as the skill players that his contract pays for are there. And because CMC might not play again with double Achilles tendonitis, he's got it in both feet. They are probably done, right? Unless people start coming back.
Yeah, the Niners are pretty close to being cooked at this point. Their one saving grace is that the Cardinals and the Rams, might not be able to get one up over on them. So they could still finish second in the division or first if the Seahawks collapse. Because I have no idea what's going on with the Seahawks.
Yeah, so Tyler, does your model believe in the Seahawks? What does it say? What is going on?
So believe it or not, my in-season model is unimpressed with the Seahawks and thinks the 49ers have just gotten unlucky. It's seeing the Niners as a 3-win team and the Seahawks as 2 wins. Same with the Arizona Cardinals. I know you're not the biggest believer in Brock Purdy, but I mean, every season that team is up there in EPA per play, and he does what he needs to do with the football. I almost hate to make this comparison because it's still so early, but I think he's the reincarnation of Drew Brees in New Orleans. You're not going to see him throwing the ball down the field 50 yards, but I think he's somebody who could be like hyper efficient. But I still see the Seahawks or the 49ers winning this division, though it's close. Seattle's 1 game behind them in forecasted wins.
Yeah, but I also think your model does not know that Christian McCaffrey's not going to play, right? So
True, very true. But it's also basing its decision on what it's seeing so far.
Sure.
And Christian McCaffrey's been out, 3 out of the 4 games?
All of them. He's been out the whole season.
Yeah.
Deebo's been out.
The model thinks there's. Yeah. So the model thinks there's enough there to get this team to 11 wins.
All right. And that brings us to our final division. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. I was going to say, who are the Seahawks? I still baffled by the Seahawks.
They're a good offensive team.
What are they? Who are they? I don't know who they are. I've never seen a Seahawk before in my life. I am baffled by
It's
that.
called an osprey.
But anyway.
It's like
it's an osprey. Oh, you mean those helicopters that fall out of the sky all the time?
Adam, it's like a falcon, but not red and black.
Oh, well, that sounds fake. Okay.
Now onto our last division, the NFC North, home of a team that Adam used to follow once upon a time, I guess. It's unclear Where
No, I
your
still follow
allegiances
the
lie?
Bears.
Okay, you've always been a Bears fan, and everyone knows it.
I've always been a Bears fan. Yes, since birth, I've always been a Bears fan.
Okay, so as the
Of
resident
course.
Bears fan, tell me about your division. What's going on there?
Well, right now the Bears are sitting at last in the best division in the NFL right now, in terms of point differential and win rate. This is the toughest, the strongest division going. So the Bears are at 2-2 at the bottom. For some reason, it's been decided that the Packers, who are also 2-2, should be above them at 3. Packers having a bad season, as they should. The Lions are at 3-1. The kitty has not meowed as much as it should,
That's
according to your
Cincinnati.
models. Oh, that's Cincinnati. I don't know. They're all cats. And then somehow the Minnesota Vikings are at 4-0, which is undeserved. Hopefully, they will fall back to where they belong as time goes on.
Okay, so one of you, please explain to me what the hell is going on with Minnesota. Is it just Sam Darnold? He heard what we said about him last time, and it turns out that you can just throw the ball to Justin Jefferson every time. Just like Danny Dimes has been elevated by Malik Neighbors, Sam Darnold is getting elevated by Justin Jefferson. And then their defense is legit? Is that what's happening? Or is this smoke and mirrors? Tyler, what do you think?
So my model has them as a 3-win team. They think one of those wins was lucky. But if I look at them at an EPA per play basis in terms of offense and defense, they're 7th or 8th in offense and number 1 in defense. So as impressive as Sam Darnold has been with his random late career renaissance, uh, the I think it's very much been more of a tale of the defense just being outstanding.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's mostly that defense has just been impeccable.
My model had them as 3rd in the division, or 4th. So them being where they are, it is a complete fluke, if you ask me.
So let's talk about the team that both of your models, I think, liked more than them, the Lions. They are who you projected as winning the division, right, Borgmaster?
Yeah, the initial model has them at 10 or 11 wins and winning the division, which they can still get there. They're at 3-1. That's respectable, and they do play. They have played good football most weeks. So it is. I think they're mostly healthy. So it's still possible once reality comes for the Vikings that they'll end up winning the division in the end.
Entirely possible. The Bears? Question mark?
The Bears, they need to figure out their O-line. They need Caleb Williams to get some more reps. Get him more confident at throwing deep balls. Have better play calling. They need to get a new OC as soon as they can, because those routes aren't any good. So they just need to change a couple things, and then they'll be there. Also, they have one of the best defenses in the league, and that helps a lot. To pad things out while they're figuring it out with the offense.
They do. The defense is keeping them in games, and Justin Fields was faster at running for his life than Caleb Williams is, and I think that's proving to be a problem. Their offensive line is still bad. They have better receivers, but there's no time for them to get open because Caleb Williams, I mean, he might not be that good, or it could just be he's got no offensive line and there's not much he can do. But we'll see. Like, rookie quarterbacks tend to get better as the season goes on, unless you're Bryce Young. And then the Packers. Tyler, what does your model think of the Packers? Do you think they'll pull it out now that Jordan Love is back?
So, just one quick thing to note on the Packers. So far this season, they're 0-2 when Jordan Love plays, and 2-0 under Malik Willis. So, um, fun fact on trivia night. But no, my model is saying this team is uh, gonna end up in third place. Uh, even with the good play from Malik Willis and what Jordan Loves has been able to contribute, um, it just doesn't believe it has the capacity to overtake the Lions or the Vikings at this point in time.
Oh, and that's the timer. So now it's
Well, that's time.
It's model time. So who
All right,
wants to check in on the math first?
Tyler?
I was going to say, Borgmaster, you go first because your model is a lot more sophisticated than my preseason model. So I figured you'd want to talk about it more.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going to just suck all the air out of the room. So, my preseason power ranking model. To remind the listeners, this is the model I made using the ESPN preseason power rankings and doing win and loss odds for teams based off of the past performance of those power rankings with the actual seasons. So I've been tracking it, just saying, okay, if a team has 50% or greater chance to win, then they win, is the prediction. And as of right now, it is somehow performing beyond all my expectations. I think it's after 4 weeks. It's I probably should have written this down somewhere. It's at like 43 correct guesses.
Out of how many?
It's out of like 64. Yeah, okay, so it's 41 to 23. So
right.
41 correct guesses, 23 incorrect guesses out of 64. Which I've been putting the model predictions into ESPN's Pick'em League. So out of like the million or so entries worldwide, it's ranked like 9,000.
All right. So it is
So
better
it is,
than
it
sheer
is
randomness.
mind-bogglingly accurate.
And
Yeah.
which
it is far
model
better
is
than
this
sheer
one?
randomness somehow.
This is the
power
preseason
ranking
prediction
model.
one? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess to some extent, it makes an amount of sense because it's basing it off of the fundamentals of the team going into the season. It doesn't account for ramming himself headfirst into a defender. So like most of the Dolphin predictions are wrong in this model after week 2.
Yeah.
So it doesn't account for that. But overall, it's still, much better than a coin flip.
It is very
It's 99
impressive.
percentile, right?
Yeah.
It's impressive that
it's at the 99.1 percentile.
despite not knowing about those injuries, just by ignoring a lot of these narratives that have changed and shifted over time, you've still ended up with a better outcome than the people who are trying to be like, oh, this team's injured and this team's on the come up. And your model's like, nah, who they were at the beginning of the season is who they're going to be. And it's so far so good. We'll see how it plays out as we get more and more injuries and changes of teams and the weather changes. But way to go so far.
Yeah, I will say it gets the Giants wrong most of the time somehow.
Because they're an enigma wrapped
in a mystery wrapped in a Danny Dimes. Yes. There's also I've been working on some new data. I've been tracking failed drives. So during games, these are the possessions that teams get that don't result in points or don't result in like the half or game ending. So like a completed drive that doesn't score points. So these are punts, fumbles, interceptions, downs, messed up field goals, safeties, what have you. I've been tracking those. And I've been trying to put together models based off of that. I've taken 20 years of historical data for each team in each game, and I've been trying to get some kind of prediction going. And sadly, going off of punts on their own doesn't lead to any decent accuracy in predictions of win and loss. Sadly, I think the linear regression I did for the punts was all significant, but the R square was like 0.04, so it was like 4% prediction ability. But I did find a method of tracking over total pointless drives. I call them pointless drives, but they're scoreless drives, right? So you have the punts, you have the failed field goals, interceptions, fumbles, downs, all that combined. And the model is looking at the sum of the previous 15 games for a team of all those kinds of drives. So, for example, starting week 1, looking at this, the Buffalo Bills over the previous 15 regular season games. So that's weeks 3 to 18 of last season. They had 80 pointless drives. So, using that, doing a linear regression to try to predict how many pointless drives they would have in their first game of the season, it predicted 6. They actually had 3. Again, the accuracy is not good. But when you compare that to the team they're playing against, and you do naive, whoever has the fewest pointless drives wins, which is true like 80%, 90%, 80% of the time anyway. You end up with a prediction system that has so far in the first 4 weeks gone, let's see here, that's like 38 to whatever. So it's a very dumb way of looking at things. You're basically saying who has had less pointless drives over the last 15 regular season games, and whoever has the fewest wins the current week's game. And that's at, let me just double check here. That's 21, 31, 38. Yeah, so that's at 38 correct guesses out of 64. So it is still better than a coin flip. Not as good as the preseason power rankings.
Which makes sense. At least the preseason power rankings have some kind of like expertise input into it. So Tyler, how is your model holding up?
So my preseason linear regression model, it's probably not going to end up where I had hoped it would be at the start of the season. Just kind of looking at it from a 1,000-foot view, I identified at least 4 teams where I think it's going to miss by a considerable margin. And it's like Washington, it's the Jets, it's the Dolphins, and the Cowboys. Just as a reminder to the listeners, this is the model that kind of forces all the teams like to the middle. So you have a lot of 7, 8, 9 win teams, and very few teams on with a large amount of wins and losses.
Okay, so how is the models? What is the win loss here? What's the predicted? How are the predictions going? Or does it not predict game by game?
It's not. This one is not predicting game by game.
Okay.
This one was just purely a season total win loss calculation.
Okay, so it's still got a chance if some teams turn it around.
Yep. Unfortunately, it's probably not going to be very interesting to talk about until end of the season, once we see where the dust settles.
Well, we shall see. All right, so that has been model talk for today. Any other closing thoughts before we sojourn for another few 4 weeks of football?
I'm going to try to look at the trend in the previous 15 pointless drives data I have, because that might be more enlightening than just the raw numbers. For example, like the Commanders. From first game of the season, their previous 15 pointless drives was 110. After week 4, it's 91. And they're a surprise 3-1 team currently. So there might be something there. I will do some more math on it, and that's a threat.
Yeah. I mean, Washington so far has been probably the most interesting team in the NFL in terms of preseason expectations. My preseason model had them at 4 wins. They're already at 3, and they're forecasted to finish at 10. One thing I did want to say about this team, uh, they're like the reverse New York Jets, right? I have them as the best team in terms of offensive EPA per play, and the worst team in terms of defensive EPA per play. Um, that's the exact inverse of the New York Jets last season.
All right. Well, we shall see. We shall see if they pull it out. Or hey, maybe this is the prelude to the Commanders just falling off a cliff and winning one more game for the rest of the year. Who knows? Honestly. All right. So if that's it, Adam, where can people find you on the internet if they wanted to?
People can find me on the Deep Listens podcast network. I sometimes co-host the Off the Deep End podcast. You might have heard of it if you're listening to this. I also have a blog at fifthgenerationgaming.blog and a Twitch channel at fifthgengaming.twitch.com. I haven't been that active lately, but I'm going to get started back on that again.
Okay. Tyler, if people wanted to find you or learn anything about what you're up to, where should they look? Anything to plug?
Nowhere, because I cannot be found on the internet.
That's the right
He's off the
answer.
grid.
That's the
Off the
right
grid.
answer.
I'm being incarcerated in Borgmaster's basement. Please send help.
This was a test, and you're the only one who passed. All right. Well, reminder, you can get in touch with the show at Deep Listens Pod on Twitter, deeplistens.libsyn.com. We have our comment sections and deeplistenspodcast@gmail.com. And you can support the show at patreon.com/deeplistens. Till next time, peace.